Every neighborhood has a heartbeat, a place that represents the cultural epicenter of the area at its core. In Boston's historic North End, that place is Boston Barber and Tattoo Company. Boston Barber and Tattoo Company has become home to A-list Boston celebrities like Gordon Hayward, Milan Lucic, Brad Marchand, and Aaron Baines. Boston Barber and Tattoo is more than just Boston's most well-known corner barbershop. It's also a tourist attraction for the hundreds and thousands of people that visit the North End throughout the year. Boston Barber and Tattoo, a North End landmark that represents the cultural epicenter of the area at its core, located at 113 Salem Street.
Thanks for joining us. Another edition of Good and Plenty. I'm your host, Jeff Goodman, and today's show coming to you from Las Vegas. I'm here at the lovely Cosmopolitan, my home away from home, for some hoops events this week. And today's show is brought to you by Robinhood. Go to plenty.robinhood.com and get a free stock when you sign up. Today's show also brought to you by Charlotte's Web. Use the promo code GOOD for 10% off your order at cwhemp.com. Today's show finally brought to you by The Athletic. Get 40% off your monthly subscription just by going to theathletic.com/Goodman. Remember, every Tuesday, NBA edition, every Thursday, College Hoops edition of the Good and Plenty podcast. You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, CLNS Media. Please give us your reviews, your feedback. We appreciate all, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. You can find me on Twitter at Goodman Hoops. You can also find me at watchstadium.com. Now, pleased to welcome in a former colleague, a guy that I love because of his no BS style, and that is ESPN's Amin Elhassan. And glad to have you on, Amin, talking all things hoops. We gotta try to get you to follow a little bit more of the college game, you know?
I know, it's sad. Every year, I feel like my college knowledge gets weaker and weaker and weaker. As I'm dealing with guys that I haven't heard of really, which was kind of 5-6 years ago. That wasn't the case. I was kind of deep in it. So one of these days, man, I'm going to figure out a way to be more on top of things during the year and not have to just cram before the draft every year.
Well, all you got to do is turn on your employer, any channel right now, whether it's ESPN, The Deuce, news, whatever, and you'll hear a little bit about that Duke team. Just a little bit, maybe. It's insane.
Yeah, that's the team. But you know what's funny? That's like the last remnants of like players that I have heard of before. Yeah. Before they played in college. Obviously Zion, as what a mixtape phenomenon he's been for a long time, and then R.J. Barrett. Because he's the son of Rowan Barrett, who was a really good Canadian basketball player and good friends with Steve Nash.
That's right.
I've known about R.J. Barrett for a while there. So, but like most of these other guys, like, oh, that's who you are.
Yeah. Even Cam Reddish. It's a little bit of a right. Cam Reddish, you probably hadn't heard of.
Yeah, Reddish.
Right.
Yeah, Reddish is a guy that oh, okay, you can play too.
Yeah. They got a few of them. They got 3. This draft is not going to be great overall, but. Certainly those guys have a chance to go 1, 2, 3. But, all right, let's talk a little NBA. And I want to get your take first on this narrative that's starting to creep out there with Golden State losing 3 straight, 4 or 5, that they're vulnerable now. They're vulnerable. I think it's complete BS. Maybe I'm crazy. I'm going to be wrong at the end of the day. But, a guy named Steph hasn't played. Draymond hasn't played a couple of these losses. KD's not making shots right now. I know there was some stuff in the locker room that they're probably still trying to work through, and maybe they can't. But I feel like all these guys are professional enough, and they're talented enough, and they've won enough that they're going to right the ship and flip the switch when they need to, when they get Steph back.
Yeah, I think it begins and it ends with Steph Curry and his presence. I think this is, people, because, look, Kevin Durant is an amazing talent. An amazing talent, right? But I think people look past Steph Curry and his impact. And, I said he's the only player in the game who can literally not touch the ball, not shoot one time, and have a massive impact on the game. Going back to college, if you remember, who was it that was it?
Jimmy Patsos. Jimmy Patsos.
Jimmy Patsos.
Yep.
There you go. Remember,
Yep.
he said, "Hey, we helped Steph Curry scoreless."
Yep.
And they lost by 40 because their whole game plan was that Steph's not going. We're going to deny Steph every opportunity. And so what Davidson had him do is just, all right, go just stand over there, 35 feet away from the basket by the sideline, and we'll play 4-on-3, and we'll destroy you. And that's pretty much what happened. And so obviously no one's doing it that exaggeratedly in the NBA, but that's the kind of impact he has just being on the floor, taking a shot or not. And so when you take him out of the game, off the floor, they turn into a regular team. And then obviously Draymond, it's kind of weird. Like, I feel like the things that make Golden State special are some of the most underrated aspects. Like that Steph, how great Steph is from just an impact on the floor guy, and then Draymond Green, obviously how great he is defensively and as a playmaking engine for this team. And so when you take those guys off the floor, they're not the Warriors anymore. They're just another team, really.
And then you have the two personalities of those guys, right? Steph's kind of the peacemaker, the guy who gets along with everybody, and Draymond, who gives him the edge. Love or, even Steve Kerr, like, love him or hate him, you need him. You need that edge because the other guys just don't necessarily have it. So I think, as much as, like you said, the two things they bring to the table from a skill standpoint, I think a personality standpoint may be just as important.
The Warriors play at their best when they're having fun. Yeah. When they're having fun, that's when they look unstoppable, and no one exemplifies that fun, personifies that fun quite like Steph Curry. You think about that game earlier this year against the Wizards, where even pregame you could tell he was feeling loose and he's throwing like exaggerated teardrop layups from like 20 feet in the air and letting it drop, and then running around and doing the airplane thing and stuff like that. It's like, oh no, he's about to have fun tonight. And sure enough, they destroyed the Wizards because Steph Curry just decided, I'm going to have a lot of fun with this tonight. And so, yeah, absolutely, you're right. From a spirit standpoint, Steph brings that fun, Draymond brings that fire and intensity, and I think those things are a little lacking right now in Golden State.
So are you worried about the dynamic between Draymond and KD? And, you hear people saying now, and I totally was like, no way, like KD's going to come back next year, as recently as like a week ago. And now I'm starting to think, all right, maybe he does leave.
Yeah,
you think he's gone?
I don't know. Yeah. I was leaning towards him being gone anyway, just from a purely, in terms of life goal thing. I said this on the jump. I said, look, the guy came to Golden State. He'll walk away with three championship rings and possibly 3 Finals MVPs, at least 2. Right? All right, man. Like I did what I came to do. I cemented my legacy. Now the next part is, if he's following this LeBron playbook. Yeah. Now do it on my own, and also do it at a level that's greater than just basketball. Because again, I think LeBron is such an influencer in that way. Like, he was the first one to say, look, I don't have to deal with incompetency from my franchise to stick around for it. I can go and be more proactive in finding success. And he did that by going to Miami. And then he broke the mold again by saying, okay, I did that. Now I'm going to go, back home and try and have more influence over a franchise than I have here in Miami. And he did that in Cleveland. And now he's done I've won 3 rings. More would be nice. No one's saying no to more, but what can I be more than a ball player? And that's being on the production side and entertainment or what have you. And so that's what he's in LA now. And every step, it's like, oh, I didn't really think about it like that. If you're a regular player, so if you're Kevin Durant, he's saying, well, maybe that's his next step, is to go somewhere like New York and try to cultivate Durant Inc. That is beyond what's on the floor. But anyway, that's what I felt before. And when this happened, I said, oh, if he was on the fence, like this is one of the things that you can definitely look back at and say, yep, that's when it became clear that he wasn't going to come back.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm buying it more and more right now. I was not buying it before the start of the season when everybody was saying it. I was like,
No.
why would he leave there? He's got a good thing. He's winning. He's happy. Why would you go to New York?
He's not happy. Jeffy's not happy.
Which
he's
is
not
crazy.
Happy because
because
it's the idea that he's not getting the credit that he thinks he deserves. Right? Now, a lot of that is his fault because he keeps talking about it. My thing was LeBron. Everyone killed LeBron, and that first year they all got their pound of flesh when they didn't win, and then they won, and then he stopped talking. He didn't talk about it. People stopped talking about it by the end of his tenure. Everyone's like, oh yeah, of course the Heat won 2 and went to 4 straight finals. LeBron's awesome. It wasn't it's because he got on coattails or any of that kind of talk, because he stopped talking about it. The problem with Durant is he can't stop mentioning it. He goes on Twitter and Instagram comments and DMs and stuff, constantly keeping that conversation alive. So it won't go away until he goes away. So that's why I say I don't think he's happy, because someone who's happy with the decision they made wouldn't give a shit what people are saying, right?
I've always said that about Kevin.
Feel the need to defend yourself.
I mean, I've always said that, and I asked him that last year or 2 years ago, maybe when, shortly after he made the decision. I felt like he always needed validation. He needed to make people happy, and he hasn't now. And he didn't know he was going to get this backlash when he signed with Golden State. I don't think anybody knew it was going to be as bad as it was. And now I think he's had a hard time with not being somebody who's liked. He's always been liked. This was a quiet kid when he was 15, 16, 17 years old. Really, really quiet. And now he started to kind of exert himself. And I think part of that was because of the criticism that he's gotten, even at the end at Oklahoma City.
Yeah, Mr. Unreliable and all that stuff. I mean, it's not everyone. Who was it? I think Reggie Miller said not everyone can wear the black hat.
Right.
Some people do. I mean, LeBron has talked about this, how he doesn't like being looked at as a villain. Yep. He's not a black hat kind of guy. And he felt like that first year in Miami, he spent a lot of it trying to wear the black hat and trying to be the bad guy. And that's not really in his personality. He had to go back to kind of finding that joy and just that love of the game in order for him to go back to being, what he was as a player. Durant's not like Draymond's like that. Draymond loves the black hat. He loves it.
Loves it.
DeMarcus Cousins loves the black hat. There are some people who just they thrive on it. Durant's not one of them. He thrives on being loved and showered with that love and affection.
Today's show is brought to you by Robinhood. It's never a bad time to start thinking about your investment portfolio. Whether you're looking to buy or sell stocks, crypto, ETFs, make sure you sign up for Robinhood. And I know markets can be complicated, but Robinhood makes everything easy for you. Robinhood's going to build your own customized newsfeed right when you sign up. They sort certain stocks for you in different collections like the 100 most popular or social media or pharmaceutical, and you'll learn more about it as you go along. Get started today. Sign up is extremely easy. All it takes is 4 taps on your phone to start trading. Best part is, Robinhood doesn't charge commission fees. You keep all your profits. Robinhood is giving listeners a free stock like Apple, Ford, or Sprint to help build your portfolio. Sign up at plenty.robinhood.com. That's plenty.robinhood.com. You can't wait to see the front line of KD, Porzingis, and Mitchell Robinson, right? You're going to be excited about that one.
Kevin Knox coming off the bench.
Remind me, I can't say it on the air. All right, it's one of the few texts that I probably cannot read on the air. But I have one of the greatest texts ever from Mitchell Robinson's mother about a year or so ago when he was going through this process of he was going to go to Western Kentucky, then he left, then he went back, then he left. I mean, it was a complete shit show. And the only thing I'll tell you is that the words from his mother that were texted to me, part of the text message included the words, messy ass. It was awesome. It was pure entertainment. One of the greatest texts I've ever gotten. The other, I think, greatest one was Derek Character sent me one with just a profanity on it that was pretty good back in the day. So, but I'll show that one to you at some point. All right. So Are we seeing here still that I mean, not that I ever questioned it, but people were starting to, I think it was Paul Pierce kind of was the first one to say, well, Kevin Durant's the best player in the world. Whether it was a year ago, 2 years ago in the finals, whatever it was. And some other people hopped on that train. Are you still 100% like I am on the – listen, LeBron's still the best player in the world. At whatever age he is right now, 34, 35, just because of his impact on the game overall and everything he can do when he wants to play at the highest level defensively, which isn't that often in the regular season, let's be honest. But when he wants to, LeBron is at a different level even than KD, isn't he?
Yeah, that's I think the big caveat is that LeBron, when he wants to.
Yeah.
It used to be, I woke up, rolled out of bed, yes, I'm the best player on the planet.
Right.
Bar none. And now it's kind of like, do I want to be the best player today? It's a Tuesday in Orlando. Or, it's a Sunday in Orlando. Not really. I don't care. But, like, in May when he's playing against, the Nuggets or whatever in a playoff game, like, hell yeah, I'm the best player on the planet. It's because he's applying himself. But it's not as automatic as it used to be. The Durant conversation is weird because on paper, he's everything you'd want out of a basketball player, right? Great length, great size, incredible shooter, good handles, good passer, versatile defender, all those things. And yet there's a part of me that knows that Steph Curry is better than he is. In a way that I think what Steph Curry is so different from what we've understood basketball for literally since the beginning. It's hard to wrap your mind around the concept of how this guy the best player, or the best player on his team, for instance. And I think it goes back to that. Hey, if I can literally impact this game and not even touch the ball once, dude, that's something different, man. That's like telekinesis.
So are you telling me? So you would take if you're taking a team from scratch, would you take Steph over KD? Sounds like.
I mean, I'd agonize over it.
I think we all would.
Agonize over it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, they're both elite level players who bring different things to the table. It's a tough call, but again, I think it's LeBron, and then you could put those two with Anthony Davis, and I don't think you could go wrong with any of those three guys.
Right.
And all three are injury prone.
Also, is the idea. Also, the idea, Jeff. I mean, if you tell me I'm starting a franchise from scratch, I want someone who can set culture, right? I want someone who can lead. I don't know if Durant's that guy, man. Like, when you see how sensitive he is and what he reacts to, and he gets yelled at by his teammate and he's sulking, and he's a great player. I'm not saying, oh, no, don't give me Kevin Durant. Like, obviously he's an elite player, but in a way, like, I trust Steph to be a leader way more. Like the intestinal fortitude that's required to create culture and sustain culture, and make other guys follow in your footsteps, right? And, Steve Kerr compared Steph to Tim Duncan in that way.
He's elite. He doesn't care.
He's elite at that.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah. And that's, if you tell me, and that's part of the decision. Like, it's not just, well, that guy's bigger. Like, part of the decision is the idea that this dude creates culture. There's a cultural bubble around him that there's only a handful of guys really in this league that you can say that about in terms of truly in that sense.
Yeah, I don't even know. Again, I think Anthony Davis could be that. I don't think he's there yet, right? I think he's just younger.
Right.
That he could be that in 4 or 5 years. He's not quite at that level, but he's got some of those same characteristics, I think, in him to be able to do that. Obviously, he needs some more around him. So, all right, Lakers. My deal preseason, I'm still sticking with it, and they're up and down. I get it. It's still that they see Golden State in the Western Conference Finals. I just think they have enough.
You think that?
I do.
Oh,
I do.
Come on,
I
Jeff.
do.
Jeff. Oh no,
I do.
I look at that team and I see a team.
You think they're flawed?
Battling flaws, inexperience, and a severe lack of shooting. Right? Who are the knockdown, drop dead shooters on the Lakers?
Well, but I don't think they have knocked down, dropped. Okay, well, Svi is probably the best shooter on their team.
Yeah, Svi.
And he can't get off the bench. But
he can't get off the bench. Like KCP, streaky. Kuzma, streaky.
Yeah.
Ingram doesn't shoot threes. He's a mid-range guy. LeBron, okay, but again, I can't count on LeBron giving me 5 threes a game in a playoff series.
No. He's not going
so it's like, there's a lot of, Lance, super streaky, So you look up and down that roster, and I'm like, I don't know where the shooting's supposed to come from. And in this league, if you can't shoot, man, or if you can't put at least a couple of guys out there that defenses have to respect, it gets so much harder because now everyone's defending with 1 foot in the paint. We're playing, what do they call it, elbows and boxes or whatever.
Yeah. They're going to pack it in. That's right.
We're packing it in. Okay, LeBron, you want to drive? Drive through 4 guys, though. And it's without that safety release, it just gets so crowded in there. And even for cutters, I love Kuzma, the way he cuts off ball. But, again, it's hard, man, when you're cutting into like a forest full of dudes. The help is just there all the time. And to me, I didn't have expectations of them. And my thing is, if they make the playoffs, they get knocked out in the first round, that's a successful year. That's a successful year for this franchise, given how young their players are, how little success they've had up until this point. The toughness of the Western Conference. Making the playoffs is a good goal. Now, they go into the summertime, they go get another horse, whether it's Anthony Davis, whether it's Kawhi Leonard, whether it's whoever it is. Okay, now we can start having expectations of,
LeBron's a year older. I just think, again, you're talking about a wasted year for LeBron then. Now, it would have been a wasted year had he stayed in Cleveland, let's be honest. So, I think he saw this as a better opportunity down the road. And as you talked about all the things off the court, I just feel like, to play devil's advocate there, LeBron and Lonzo can give guys higher percentage shots, the ball where they need it, and not just where they need it on the court, but delivering it exactly where they need it so there's no wasted motion. So instead of it being, on a lot of other teams, a lower percentage three-point shot, like what Draymond gets, right? When Draymond shoots threes, how many times is it wide open? 90%?
A lot of times, for a reason.
Right, absolutely. But what I'm saying is, even if, let's say Brandon Ingram is normally a 35% three-point shooter, does that number go up because his shots are uncontested? Same thing with KCP. Same thing with Kuzma. Now, Kuzma's, to me, not a great shooter. He never proved himself. I think you can have a year, kind of like Lonzo did at UCLA. Right. Lonzo had a year at UCLA where he shot 40% from three, and everybody was like, oh, he's a good shooter. No, he's not. He's not. He wasn't then.
Right.
Can he be? Yeah, maybe if he works his ass off. I still feel like you look at some of the guys that I've seen from high school. Darrell Wright is the number one for me. Darrell Wright couldn't make a shot in high school, and he turned into, I think he led the NBA one year in three-point shooting percentage. Look at Kawhi. Yeah. Look at Kawhi.
Kawhi is the number one example for me.
Crazy.
Kawhi in college played power forward and shot something like 25% from college three. He gets drafted. The Spurs work with him for 6 days before the lockout hits. Lockout hits, and literally they said, here's your practice plan. Have a fun summer or however long this lockout lasts. He comes back in December, comes into the gym.
He's a killer.
He went from a non-shooter to a 37.5% three-point shooter his first year in the NBA.
Why? Because of work.
And never relapsed.
Right. Because he worked at it. That's the thing. Is Brandon Ingram going to work like he needs to? I think LeBron's going to bring these guys along. I do. Is he going to hang with them? No, but I think they see his work ethic, and even they see Rondo's IQ and holding guys accountable. And I'm not a Rondo guy at all. And I think it's going to help Lonzo. I really do. I think it's going to help a guy like Lonzo. So I think they're better shooters than we give them credit for once LeBron and Lonzo figure out kind of how to play together more, who's going to have the ball in their hands more. I actually think Lonzo should have the ball in his hands more. I think it takes some of the pressure off LeBron and allows him to be a little bit more of a scorer, which they need on this team right now.
Yeah, I think. Well, first, let me address what you said about guys, their percentages being elevated by virtue of playing with a great passer like LeBron
and Lonzo.
Yes, and Lonzo. Yes and no. Like, yes, there is some improvement, but it's not that much because, again, they're not good shooters to begin with, right? Or prolific shooters, I should say, right? And so you go like Ingram, a lot of it has little to do with how open he was and a lot to do with shot selection. That guy likes to put it on the floor and go and pull up. Like, if you look at, like, the first 3 years of his career, it's not – his percentages are fine. Yep. It's just he doesn't do it. He's like, his attempts per game is really low, and there's some deprogramming you got to do there. The other thing is, like, I think at some level, for guys who are non-shooters and know they're non-shooters, being butt naked wide open actually plays like in their head.
It can hurt.
Because the idea is, if the way we guard you guys, you're not open because I messed up a rotation. Oh no, that's my game plan. My game plan is to watch you take this shot, and you hit one, congratulations. Can you hit two? Can you hit three? Can you hit four? It's the exact opposite of like someone like Klay Thompson who can be 0 for 7. That's a good point. And then we're running down the floor as a defender. You think I'm sagging off him because he's missed 7 in a row? Hell no, I'm right here. Now he's gonna make one. He's gonna make it right in front of me. Not because I like basically let my guard down and said, you know what, he's having an off night. Guys like that can't have an off night because all it takes is one to open the floodgates, and the opposite is true for non-shooters. I don't think like again, we're talking about the 7-game series. We're not talking about a Monday night in Milwaukee,
right? Where they can get hot.
I'm sitting here, and that's my game plan. And you're going to have to show me 4 out of 7 times that, every time you leave me open, you are playing with fire. And that's the thing I don't know. That's why I said you need just a knockdown shoot. Just someone out there like, man, you better not leave me out here.
Well, can they trade for that guy? I mean, can they get that guy at the deadline? I don't know who's out there that they can grab. But again, Svi, they don't feel comfortable, and he can't guard anybody right now either. And that's part of their issue is defense.
Yeah, and I think can they get that guy? Yes, but then now you go back into like, well, what's the cost? What am I giving up to get that guy? And if I get that guy, what real advantage? Like, okay, what result are we going to get as the result of getting that? Right? Like, are we going to win 8 playoff series, 2 playoff series?
Can we get to Golden State? Can we get to Golden State? That's the goal, right? Is can you get through the Utahs and the Houstons and the OKCs?
Yeah, I don't know if the cost justifies what the benefit is, right? As opposed to saying, and I know you're saying you're just punting a year, but you're not really punting a year, right? Of LeBron, what you're basically trying to do is figure out who's the keeper and who's not, right? That's where we're at here. Who's a keeper? Who's not a keeper in terms of the young core, and then from there also, okay, now that we've decided who's a keeper, who's not, what can we do to add to this team in terms of real impact player, not like a Kyle Korver here or J.R. Smith. I'm talking about like impact basketball player, and so that's pretty much where we're at. I think if you're the Lakers, anything other than that, I think is just. It's a lot. It's short-sighted. I would say it's short-sighted to do something that's going to make you marginally better this season.
All right, so you said it. Who's a keeper and who's not? They're trying to figure it out. I'm going to give you the 3 names, and you tell me who's a keeper in your opinion, who's not. We'll start with Lonzo.
I think Lonzo's a keeper.
Me too.
I think when you look at his size, his playmaking, his defensive versatility. Like that's where the game is going. A 6'7" dude who plays point guard and can guard three different positions and rebounds and lead the break and all that stuff. Is the shooting area concern? Yes, but I don't think he's beyond help. Right? Like I think he's improving, and it's just one of the things you got to keep working on. So for me, he's a keeper.
Brandon Ingram.
See, that's the one where I'm like, I don't know.
You don't know if you want to pay him, right? Because you're gonna have to pay him a lot of money.
You're going to have to pay. So after this summer, basically next October. He's eligible for his rookie scale extension. Now, technically, you can not make a decision at all. You can say, I'm not going to extend him. I'm going to see what he looks like next year. And at the end of that year, he'll be restricted free agent. So it's not like you're really missing out on anything. But having said all that, I think I love that he also has defensive versatility out there. I love that he has a mentality that seems to be someone who wants to be elite at this game. But I don't love his shot selection. I don't love his style of play on the offensive end. Like, if the ball's not in his hand, he seems to be very just kind of, what do you want me to do?
Yeah, he's pretty
passive. He can't be like that.
He doesn't move well without the ball.
Right. So, to me, that's one where I'm on the fence as far as he's definitely – I'm not throwing him on the keeper list, but I'm also not, punting him out the door.
I think the last of the three, and you tell me if we're forgetting anybody, but I think all the other guys are kind of ancillary parts and a lot of older guys, but is Kyle Kuzma.
Yeah. I like Kuz, man.
As a piece, right? As a piece.
As a piece. If he played on a team where everybody else was a great defensive player, I think Kuz would be fine.
Yeah.
The problem is he's playing on a team where the team defense is kind of not set, not effective at all. And so his defensive shortcomings become really accentuated. But I love Kuz, the way he plays with LeBron. I love the way he moves without the ball. I love the way he cuts. I think, again, streaky shooter, but with work, I think he can be better at that. I think he can actually work himself into a really good shooter. And I like that he's not afraid to take those shots. I'm leaning towards keeper on Kuz, even though I fully understand his ceiling is lower than that of Ingram.
Yeah, I love Kuz. Honestly, for a championship caliber team, I love Kuz as first guy off the bench. He'd be great.
Yeah. No,
ideally,
absolutely.
Right? Ideally, that's where you'd want Kyle Kuzma.
Right.
This episode is brought to you by Charlotte's Web, the most trusted hemp extract. CBD is gaining popularity in the health and wellness world. It feels like everyone is talking about it. I want to introduce you to Charlotte's Web. They're an industry leader who sells broad spectrum, whole plant hemp extract with CBD in the form of oils, capsules, and topicals. Charlotte's Web CBD isn't intoxicating, but it does have some pretty powerful benefits working with your body's existing endocannabinoid system. People love Charlotte's Web oils and capsules because they support management of everyday stresses, help in supporting restful sleep cycles, and maintaining a sense of calm and focus. CBD is also known for helping athletes recover from exercise-induced inflammation. Customers trust Charlotte's Web because they grow and hand-tend more than 250,000 hemp plants in the U.S. Their hemp is responsibly farmed without any pesticides, herbicides, or fungicides. And the extract is filtered 5 times for quality and consistency. Jump over to cwhemp.com and enter the code GOOD at checkout for 10% off your Charlotte's Web hemp extract purchase. That's cwhemp.com. Enter the code GOOD at checkout for 10% off your Charlotte's Web hemp extract purchase. Some exclusions apply. See website for details. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Jimmy Butler in Philly. I'm so torn. Man, I'm so torn whether this is going to work or not because of the personalities. They need Jimmy for his defense. We know that, right? And he's become a decent shooter.
Yeah.
I just don't know if Jimmy's going to be okay in the long run about this being Joel Embiid's team, and that's not going to change, and Joel Embiid's rules about the team. And
I don't think there's any issue there. From the very beginning, what Jimmy's about, other than getting paid, which is the story that
number one. That's number
over.
Yeah, that's number one.
He came to Minnesota to get paid, and then they tried to get him to basically give the hometown discount.
Exactly.
That's number one as to why he's not there. But I think more than that, it's the idea that in Minnesota they paid guys that Jimmy looks around and says, "You're paying these dudes, these silver spoon entitled
number one picks,
like children, really, right? Like the idea that if I get in your ass about a rotation or whatever, you go suck, right? They're gonna be in their feelings about the way I talk to you or whatever, right? And I think and he had a quote after that Hornets game the other night where he's talking about, I love playing with these guys because you can tell them something and they're going to take that feedback and build on it as opposed to getting upset. And that's the thing about Embiid and Simmons is, man, those guys are dogs, man. Those are dogs. They're not like, as far as putting in the work, as far as competitiveness and all that stuff, they're there. They have a rind on them, like as they would say in the Old West, right? A little grit to them.
Yep.
And when Jimmy first came out with his list of teams and saying, like, because people thought, I called Jimmy a winner. He's truly a winner. And they're like, my buddy Dan Lebatard was like, how can you call him a winner? He's only been out of the first round one time. That's not what I'm talking about, right? You can't be like, well, let me look at the box score at the end of the day. This guy's the winner, this guy's the loser. We're talking about the process, no pun intended. We're talking about doing the steps necessary to be a winner, right? Sacrifice, not caring about your stats, putting in the work, right? Being able to take criticism, being able to give criticism, right? Those are the things. And so if you got guys that are concerned about, well, did I get my 20 and 10 so I get my average up? No, it was an awful night, right? Those guys are not winners, right?
Yeah.
Even if they won the game, even in the process of them doing that, they ended up getting a W. That's not what we're talking about as far as what a winning attitude and a winning culture is. I think Embiid and Simmons have a winning attitude and a winning culture, and that's why I think Jimmy's not going to have a problem with them from that standpoint.
Listen, Andrew Wiggins is the anti-Jimmy Butler, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Right?
He's anti a lot of things.
Yes, he is. But you're right.
Someone say he's the anti-good player.
Well, and I've said it on the podcast before. The most shocking thing to me was when he was coming up, everybody was like, oh, he's an elite defender. He's an elite defender. And I'm watching and I'm like, no, he's not. He should be, but he's not. And I thought it would change.
Like, you know what that's called, Jeff? It's an old saying, like an NBA scouting circle, that looks the part.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Perry Jones III looks the part. Right?
Yeah, he sure did. He sure did.
Right? Yeah, right? Like Andrew Wiggins looks the part. Like, oh, yeah, you look like you walk in the gym and say, whoa, who's that guy? He's got to be the best player out here.
We need a list of the top 10. Hey, we need a list of like the top 10 guys who looked the part over the last like decade, you know?
Oh, man, I'm trying to think.
That'd be a good list.
There's a lot of them will play for the Wizards. Jeff Green looks the part.
Jeff Green always did. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. I was going to ask you about watching. All right, so we'll go on to that for a second. Let's go with this first. And you can go short here if you want. But I'm going to read you 4 teams that, like, to me, well, probably 2 of them that have gotten off to a really good start, and that's Memphis and the Clippers. They're both like 10-5. Sacramento is 8-8. I don't know how the hell Sacramento is 8-8, but they are. And Dallas is 7-8. Who are they? All pretenders at the end of the day? I don't think we should waste our time with Dallas because we know they're going to go back down.
Right.
Sacramento probably the same. You would agree. Those 2 are pretenders. Clearly.
Absolutely. Sacramento. Yeah. Sacramento's going to win 25 games.
Right. What about Memphis and the Clippers?
Right. So those are 2 different scenarios. In Memphis' case, I think a lot of people thought they were bad because they're genuinely bad. And I said, no, they were bad because they dealt with injuries. They had like 700 guys play for them last year.
Oh,
Mike Conley missed most of the year.
Yeah.
Like that, they weren't a healthy team. But when Mike Conley and Marc Gasol are healthy, this has traditionally been a 47 to 50 win team that makes the playoffs and is a tough out as long as those 2 guys are healthy, right? And so that, and then you go back and watch the jump from the summertime. You hear me yelling, when are we going to talk about the Grizzlies? Because
I did. That's right. I did.
I have a feeling you're on my side on this one.
Yep.
Garrett Temple, Kyle Anderson, 2 incredible value pickups is exactly what that team needed.
Yep.
Big guys
good pieces.
Who can handle the ball, who can make a play, and who can knock down an open jumper. And those guys. Now you're, instead of giving minutes to Dylan Brooks and like to Michael Green and guys like that, you're giving it to good, smart, high IQ role player guys who know and embrace their role. And then finally, hey, how can you not love Jaren Jackson?
He's been better than I thought of.
Watching him. Oh, really? Oh, come on.
Right
man.
away.
Here's the thing, Jeff.
Earlier.
Yeah, go ahead.
Here's my take on him. And I said this. There's going to be nobody that's in a better situation this year because you're going to learn from who? You're going to learn from Marcus Ole. Unbelievable. And, oh, by the way, you've got maybe as good a pure point guard as there is in the world, one of them, who's all about just getting people easy, good looks. You run the court, you're going to get the ball. And Jaren Jackson needed to play. Like, they had to feed him minutes. So, like, nobody was in a better situation to succeed coming out of that draft than Jaren Jackson, but I still thought it would take longer than it has.
Yeah, there's something about the way he plays, this unbridled energy that it feels positive, man. And, you know, he's so long and lanky and athletic. The jumper is inconsistent.
Yep.
He's another guy that he's going to have to put in the work. But, man, like, you're right. Just a great fit for not only for him, but also for what they needed. Because they needed a four-man who's athletic and can knock down a shot and can do some things out there from a quickness standpoint that they really haven't had for a while in Memphis. And so it's just a great marriage of those two guys, those two things. And for me, that's why I like the Grizzlies playoff team. I'm buying. I'm all the way in on them being a playoff team. And again, being back to being the team that no one wants to play in the first round because they slow things down and they play a style that's not accommodating, I guess, to modern basketball. The Clippers were the one before the year, or everyone, when I was trying to say that, man, 13 out of 15 teams in the West were going to be legitimate playoff contenders. And people would say, oh, you throwing the Clippers in there? They lost DJ. And I doubted myself. But my thing was, I saw how they played towards the end of the season last year, dealing with injuries and dealing with, having traded Blake. And, dude, they just play so hard. And the line we've been running with is that, on the jump, is that GM Doc was so bad, he made everybody forget how good Coach Doc was.
That's so true. So bad. So bad.
But I'm just saying, like, the guy's a good coach, man. And my thing is, he's an especially good coach when the talent level drops, right?
Yeah.
Because, like, he did what he did with the Big Three and won the championship and all that stuff in Boston. But, like, his best coaching jobs are, like, Orlando, his first year coaching, right? Like, Darryl Armstrong and Bo Outlaw and
he's such a garbage
just a bunch of dudes.
Yes.
Yeah, just a Chucky Atkins, just a bunch of dudes, right? And then, last year, obviously, he's just really good when you give him a bunch of guys who run through a brick wall, like the Patrick Beverleys of the world, the Montrezl Harrells. Like, that's a Doc Rivers team right there in terms of overachieving and all that. And so they're 10-5. I think they're not going to continue at this clip, but I'm still struggling. I was like, should I say that these guys are going to be one of the top 8 teams in the West when it's all said and done? I don't know yet. I don't know.
Well, that's the thing. You look at it and you say, okay, like let's go through it real quick. Portland, Golden State, they're going to be fine. Oklahoma City, is going to make the playoffs. Denver's going to make the playoffs. Lakers are going to make the playoffs. So there's 5 in. Houston isn't in today, but they're going to be in. That's 6.
Houston will be in. Yeah.
Utah is going to be in. That's 7.
Yeah.
So you're talking about Memphis, the Clippers, San Antonio. That's probably it. Those 3 fighting for one spot.
I would also drop what do you call it down? I would drop Denver down with those guys as far as being in a dogfight to get in, because they started the season awesome. And one of my things was, this is going back to what we talked about earlier about anyone can be good for a little stretch. Can you keep doing it? They were elite defensively. And I said, wait a second. This team was terrible defensively for the last 3 years. You tell me they just woke up, they didn't really add anybody. It's just these same guys say, hey guys, I think we guard some people out here. Like, I want to see it happen over a stretch of time. And sure enough, their defense lately has regressed back to what we expected Denver Nuggets defensively, which is middle to a little bit below average.
Yeah, they're an average defensive team to me.
But once you get in from elite to average defensively, you go from Denver is one of the great surprises of the young season to, Denver's going to be in a fight for their playoff play.
Yeah.
They're going to be in a fight along with those teams that we just.
Quick break to tell you today's show is brought to you by The Athletic. If you haven't heard about The Athletic by now, you must be living under a rock. These guys have been crushing every element of sports coverage imaginable. Whether you're looking for specific local coverage with beat guys, sports discussed under a national lens, or anything in between, you got to make sure you take a look at The Athletic. There's no pop-ups, no ads, just high-quality content waiting behind every single click. Zach Harper, Frank Isola, Sam Amick, who was a guest on this show, Shams Charania, also a guest on this show. They have you covering everything NBA related. If college hoops is more your style, then check out my guys Seth Davis, Brian Hamilton, Dana O'Neill. You can't get content like this anywhere else. 600 to 750 new articles a week. That's an insane number. Who else is pushing out quality content like that? If you haven't signed up yet, take advantage of this deal because it's not going to last forever. Go to theathletic.com/Goodman. Get 40% up your monthly subscription. That's a subscription for less than $3 a month just by going to theathletic.com/Goodman. Shams, Amick, Harper, Seth Davis, Dana O'Neill, Brian Hamilton. I can go on and on and on. For less than $3 a month. Sign me up. I'm already signed up. Sign yourself up, too, at theathletic.com/Goodman. All right, last thing, just because we touched on it real quick. I want to hit you with it, and then I'm going to let you go. The Wizards, if you are Ernie Grunfeld, what the hell do you do with this team? You're paying John Wall like $1 billion a year over the next 4 years.
Yeah.
You got Otto Porter locked up for, I believe, one more and then a player option. He's making like 26, 27. Beal, you got to keep to me. You got to try to build around Bradley Beal if I'm him. You got Dwight for, I think, one more. What do you do?
Yeah.
Like, how do you fix this?
I think you got to light a match and just blow the whole thing up. And I'm not an advocate of blowing things up because we're not going to win a championship. We got a tank. But I am an advocate of when you have a rotten culture, you have to scorch earth. It's like having mold in your house. You got to get all that shit out there. Right? You can't continue. And anyone who remains from this will have that stench on them. So if you say, I'm going to keep Beal, it's hard to change culture if, like, this is the only thing that guy has known, right?
Yeah.
That's for those guys' sake, they need to go somewhere else so they can have a fresh start, by the way, and shake it off of them. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know. And the worst part isn't, what do you do or how do you do it? It's how do you get rid of John Wall's contract, man? Cause
you can't.
I don't know what the market is for point guards who teammates don't really like him, and he makes $39 million to $40 million a year after this year, and he can't shoot, but somehow he always wants to do a pull-up jumper from mid-range, and he hasn't been a good defender in about a year and a half to 2 years. But you need to show me where the teams are lining up, saying, give me one of those guys.
That's the problem. That's the problem. What do you do then that you're forced to trade Beal because he's the only valuable commodity that you have that's tradable. Nobody's taking Otto. To me, unless they're taking picks with him, they're not taking Otto at $27 million. I wouldn't. I mean, I thought that was a stupid signing, to be honest. I really did. I know people are saying, well, they had to do it. No, they didn't have to do it.
So this is my thing. Otto Porter, if the Wizards were a normal team, right? If John Wall was the best version of himself and Bradley Beal was the best version of himself, the Otto Porter signing would have been fine.
Yes.
Okay. Otto would have been fine.
That's fine.
Right? Like,
overpaid a little bit.
It's a lot of money, but overpaid, but he's a great complementary player as a defensive, versatile defensive guy, and was one of the league leaders in three-point shooting, and a go-along, get-along kind of guy, right?
No doubt.
The problem is you have a rotten culture, so it's like the idea of him getting $22 million actually, like, oh my God, like people in the locker room are looking at him with a version of disdain. Like if Otto Porter played for the Warriors, everyone would be talking about how great he is, right? Let's be honest. If Otto Porter played for the Warriors,
no doubt.
Oh my God, how am I supposed to stop them when their sixth guy is 6'9" and shoots threes and does all that stuff, right?
True.
But because he plays for the Wizards, it becomes a luxury they can't afford. It's like being homeless, but still keeping your Rolls Royce. Like it's like, so.
True.
So,
true.
because his deal isn't quite that. And he's got this year, next year, and then is it a player option on the 4th year?
It is a player option after next year. I believe he's got next year at 26 or 27, and then I think he's got a player option. So he's going to take that player option, obviously, because.
Oh man.
Yeah. So they're locked in.
He's not getting that money in. They're locked. I can't. But here's the thing, Jeff. This is what Ernie Grunfeld really should do is go find a time machine. That's the only thing
go back. That's right. Can I have a do-over?
You paid, dude. They paid guys.
Yeah.
And for stuff that hadn't happened yet, right? You went out. You went and paid those guys.
But that happens so often. I mean, that's the problem. That happens whether it's in the NBA. So often you're paying just because you're scared that you're going to lose the guy, and especially in a market like Washington, right? You're like, well, we're not going to get a big time free agent, so we got to keep these dudes no matter what. If we lose them for nothing, what are we going to get in return? Well, yeah, I get it, but you're just going to be spinning your wheels.
Yeah, the thing I talk about on the jump a lot is in the NBA, the hard part is the easy part, and the easy part is the hard part. And what I mean by that is the hard part is getting stars, right? Yeah. Bona fide, actual stars. Why is it hard? Because there's only a handful of them, right? Not everyone is a star, but there's a Giannis here, there's a Kawhi there. Like, ooh, how can I get my hands on one of those? It's really hard, but it's also kind of easy because you know who they are. Giannis, yes. Anthony Davis, yes. Right. Kawhi, yes. Steph Curry, yes. Kevin Durant, yes. LeBron, yes. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out, right?
Yep.
The flip side is
you're not getting
the easy part is the hard part. Okay, so that's hard. That's why it's hard. It's hard to get those guys because there's only a handful of them and everyone's competing for them. The flip side, the easy part is the hard part is if you do have stars, then role players should be easy because there's zillions of them everywhere. They're lying around. They're through college or the G League. They're overseas. You can go out and get them, but it's hard because it's actual work. It requires you to actually be on the road and scouting and player evaluation, player development. Right? You get them in your doors and you make them better, and then and knowing when to cut loose. Right? And so for me, like a team like Miami, for example, when we talk about why you pay guys, right? They went out there your claim to fame in Miami is give me your tired, poor, huddled masses, and we'll turn them into NBA players. Yeah. Whether it's a guy struggling in the G League like Tyler Johnson, whether it's a guy who's a second-round pick like Josh Richardson, whether it's a guy who had his shot and blew it, Deion Waiters or James Johnson. Or all those guys are like ragtag. Yeah. Hassan Whiteside, of course, a number of classes. He probably fits all of those things.
Yes, he does, no doubt.
Right, So you take them, you get them in shape, they play great. Dude, if this is what you do over and over and over again, why would you pay any of them? Just go out and get more diamonds in the rough.
Yeah.
If your whole thing is that you guys don't see these diamonds, but I see them, why would I ever actually pay for the diamond? I would just let it walk unless the person was elite. Right. The problem is they knew Deion Waiters was an elite. They knew James Johnson was an elite. Tyler Johnson was an elite. Josh Richardson is an elite. But they still decided, hey, I'm going to pay these guys because somehow maybe I can add them all up and go get someone in the trade. And I just don't think that's how it works. I think obviously you still got to be out there hunting and searching for the next best thing. But at some point you have to say to yourself, yeah, I'm not giving you a 4-year deal. Oh, Tyler Johnson, you got a $50 million offer sheet from Brooklyn. Have fun. There's a great pizza spot right across from that's
right. Absolutely.
That's what you do.
Yeah.
Because Tyler Johnson isn't Chris Paul. He's Tyler Johnson. Good player, solid player. He's culture, representative to the max, yes. But I got to know deep in my heart that $12.5 million a year for that guy is just not a savvy play. And so the Wizards got stuck paying dudes, like you said, out of fear of losing them rather than saying, I'm going to go out and get another one. Right? Yeah, John Wall is good. He's not that good. That's the hardest thing for people to come to grips with. Like, if someone's not that good, you still pay them.
Well, listen, I appreciate you coming on. Let's continued success. Love watching you on the jump. Again, love the fact that you are who you are, and you don't hide it, and you say what you believe, and you don't worry about sometimes the consequences, which can hurt you a little bit. Trust me, I know. But
I probably should do more. I should probably do more of that. But you know what? Jeff, people ask me all the time, are you ever going to go back and work for a team? And I say no for a couple reasons. One, I really like my job. I love working for ESPN. I love working for Disney, to be honest. That means a lot to me. But also, I can't go back because, my experience in the NBA started with working for people like Steve Kerr and David Griffin, people who I could be frank with and straightforward with and give them information without sugarcoating, without being nice or putting in words that won't hurt their feelings. And they allowed me to be that, and that was great. And then after they left, I worked for people who were the exact opposite, who felt embarrassed and all. And to me, is what I said. That's what the real NBA is like, right? That's what it's like, right? It's not like what I had working for Steve and Griff. It's working for people who are petty, who have agendas, who are social climbers, who are anything but like, hey, are we here to win or not? And so for me, I don't know if I can go back to a situation like that unless I could guarantee, oh no, I'm working with like-minded people. And
well, that's what you got to figure.
Yeah, but
that would be the only way you do it, right? Is if it were the right guy.
But Jeff, if I had it in me to play the politics game, to know how to put on a happy face for one thing and to do all of that shenanigans, I'd probably still be working in the league right now. But there's not a whole lot of places that are accepting of just me being me. I think I've found a place like that here at ESPN. I hope I'm here for a long time. And watch the jump. Noon Pacific, 3 Eastern, every day on ESPN on your dial.
Good promo. Thanks, my man. Appreciate it, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks a lot, Jeff.
All right, take care, man. Thanks again for joining us. Another edition of Good and Plenty is in the books. Thanks a ton to Amin Elhassan, who always has some strong takes. I was not surprised at all. KD, he does feel, is gone, which I was not feeling that until recently, but I tend to agree with him now. We certainly disagree on the Lakers and where they're going to go. He loves Jimmy Butler in Philly, doesn't think there's going to be an issue there. So plenty of things. Amin Elhassan, again, one of the things that I love about him is there is no BS about him. He's not in this to make friends. He's going to say it the way it is, and that's what I love. So we'll have him on the podcast again later in the year for sure. Thanks again for joining us. Good and Plenty. You can subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, CLNS Media. You can find me on Twitter at Goodman Hoops. You can also find me at WatchStadium.com. Thanks to my producer, Evan Valenti, for another stellar job of making my life easy. And please give us your reviews on iTunes. We need them. Any guests that you'd like me to have on, that would be great. And again, we will see you hopefully Thursday for the College Hoops edition, Turkey Day edition, I guess, version of Good and Plenty. Thanks.